Morning, everyone. Don't ever invest in anything just because it's going up. You should know why it is going up and why, even if there's a price correction and it goes temporarily down, why it will always eventually go back up. So why is Bitcoin always going to eventually go back up? And the answer is because Bitcoin is the world's best form of money. The world needs money, so we don't have to barter. We don't have to trade eggs for a cow. We don't have to trade a cow for a house. We don't have to do all sorts of weird contortions. We get paid in money. We use that money to buy stuff. It keeps us from having to barter. And a good money is durable, divisible, fungible, portable, authenticatable, and a bunch of other characteristics that I've covered in other videos. And the world needs money because, again, otherwise we're stuck in barter. And the problem with all of the world's existing money is that the governments who control that money print an unlimited amount of it. They have control over the money supply. And as they print more money out of thin air, the value of the dollars in our case, or the pounds or euros or yen or won or whatever it is you hold, or pesos, etc., the value of those goes down as the government prints more because your purchasing power is diluted by all of those new dollars or pounds or euros or pesos or whatever that they print out of thin air. So that the current monetary system is broken because your purchasing power keeps going down and they keep ramping up how much money they create out of thin air. So the world needs a way to hold value and transport value anywhere in the world in a matter of seconds, and Bitcoin provides that for the first time in human history. And because of that, because it is so valuable for humans to be able to store their time and their energy in something that cannot be created out of thin air, and something that enables them to transfer value anywhere in the world, anytime, to store securely, to be able to cross borders without confiscation. Because it is so valuable that for humans to be able to do that, Bitcoin's price keeps going up. Now, why does it go down temporarily? And the answer is because sometimes the price gets ahead of the adoption. The adoption is ever marching on as more and more people understand the value of Bitcoin and adopt it. But it is not completely uniform. Sometimes the price gets ahead of the market adoption due to people speculating on market adoption. They speculate on how high the price of Bitcoin might go in the future. And so the price gets ahead of what is sustainable based on, good morning. The price gets ahead of what is sustainable based on adoption. And that is temporary because the march of Bitcoin adoption is constantly happening in the background. Any price of Bitcoin today will eventually, the adoption of Bitcoin will catch up to that price. So if somebody, let's say, tomorrow, which is not going to happen, but let's say Bitcoin spikes suddenly to $220,000 in a day, which again is not going to happen. It always takes longer. To get to 220,000, even if that happens in the next 12 months, would probably take 6 or 12 of those 12 months to climb to a price that is more than double its current price. But if it went to 220,000 very quickly, then, and someone said, well, Joel, do you think there would be a price correction? I would say yes, because the adoption of Bitcoin did not double in a day. It just didn't, which means the price is almost certainly ahead of the adoption if the price jumps immediately to 220,000. Now, if somebody said, yeah, but if I buy Bitcoin, will I ever be up? I would say, well, of course, because Bitcoin adoption keeps marching on. So, yeah, 220,000 may be a little ahead of adoption today, but give it a year or 2 or 3, and it'll be right on track. And suddenly 220,000 will seem cheap based on worldwide adoption of Bitcoin. So money is a valuable thing for people to own. Having a good money that is portable, divisible, fungible, authenticatable, and most importantly, the most important aspect of any money in all of human history is scarcity. Is how scarce it is, how hard is it to produce the next unit of that money. And in the case of government money, they just print it out of thin air and it's super easy. But in the case of Bitcoin, nobody in the entire universe can make more than 21 million Bitcoin. And that's all that will ever exist. So we know Bitcoin will always eventually go up, which means, again, it's a great investment because unlike a lot of other things that once the price goes down, it might never come back up. Because whatever it is, maybe a company has competition, and that competition, for example, BlackBerry. You have BlackBerry, and along comes the iPhone, And nobody even remembers BlackBerry anymore because it got made obsolete by the iPhone and Android phones. Or MySpace. Nobody uses MySpace. Why? Because Facebook made it obsolete. So if you are an investor and you are investing in BlackBerry or you are investing in MySpace or something like that, you should not invest in something like that just because the price is going up. Because if the price is going up, there's no reason for a company like MySpace or something that it can't come right back down and then stay down for a very long time, including potentially permanently. Obviously, there's companies that go out of business. There's companies that, like General Motors back in 2008 or 2009, it went bankrupt. If you were a shareholder in General Motors, the stock went to $0. That means if you own stock, you literally got wiped out and lost all of your money in General Motors. It was either 2008 or 2009 after the Great Recession. That was caused by the government, for what it's worth. Anyway, so for all those reasons, Bitcoin is a great investment. It will always eventually go up. Sometimes the price gets ahead of the demand. The price gets ahead of the adoption demand. It never gets ahead of the speculative demand because the price reflects total demand for Bitcoin and total supply of Bitcoin. So the price is always exactly what it is, and it always exactly reflects supply and demand. But sometimes the price reflects adoption demand and speculative demand. And if it gets too far ahead on the speculative demand, then there's a price correction to bring the price back closer to where it would be if it were just adoption demand, which is obviously adoption demand is completely sustainable because that represents people using Bitcoin for its intended purposes, not just speculating on the price. The direction of the price changes. So hopefully that's helpful. In my opinion, Bitcoin will always eventually go back up, which makes it a fantastic investment because it means you can always just hold it. And if the price goes down for a period of time, as long as you're patient, you can hold it and the price will always eventually go back up. And for a technology as incredible as Bitcoin, where I can send value anywhere in the world, anytime, day or night, instantly, in a way that nobody can block, nobody can censor, and nobody can stop, that is an incredibly valuable thing to be able to do. With the internet and email and social media, we got the ability to do that with information. I can send information in the form of an email anywhere in the world, anytime, day or night, and it shows up on the other side of the world in a second or two. But we've never been able to do that with money until Bitcoin. I can't send gold to the other side of the world in seconds. I can't even send US dollars to the other side of the world in seconds because most countries don't support Venmo and Cash App and PayPal and whatever else. So unless I can find somebody using the same platform as me in another country, I can't send the money. I just can't. There's just no way to do that. And even if I could find somebody using another platform that's the same as me, the government can stop that transaction, or anybody can stop that transaction on either side of it. PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, they can all just freeze my account. They can all freeze the account on the other end. All of those services are used with the permission of the provider. And if you lose the permission to use the platform, your assets are frozen on that platform. Bitcoin does not work that way. When you use self-custody like Bitkey, you can have complete and total sovereign control over your Bitcoin in a way that nobody can censor, nobody can seize, nobody can stop. And it's an absolute incredible technology that allows you to send value, not just information, but to send value to anyone, anywhere in the world in a matter of seconds. And that's incredible, and that is very powerful. And that is why the underlying value of Bitcoin is so high that the price, regardless of what the price does in the near-term basis, the price will always eventually go back up because the demand for Bitcoin is so high that the adoption demand will always eventually push the price back up regardless of what the price does in the near term. So hopefully that helps. Have a great morning, everyone. Thanks.